Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second annual This Is Not Happening, Another X-Files podcast award show. Tonight we will celebrate the top 3 episodes of Season 2 as picked by each host. And for something brand new, we're also going to celebrate the 3 worst episodes of... I'm sorry, what? Oh, That's right, they did do that last time. So it's nothing new, so you should know exactly what's happening. The top 3 episodes and the bottom 3 episodes for each host. Laugh at their pain while they... You know what, forget it. This sounds exactly like last time, and I'm really not going to be your clown. I'm not going to dance for you. Oh, you'll dance. You'll dance because we're paying you to dance. No, you guys only utilize me for the award show, and I'm sick of it. So you know what? Drop the mic. Oh, you're going to drop the mic? Tell you what. Say your fucking lines. We'll pay you to think. Oh, God. I hope you went to the bathroom because it's trying to start. Here's Mike and Andrew. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to This Is Not Happening, Another X-Files podcast award show for Season 2. We're going to pick worst 3 episodes and best 3 episodes. Andrew, I'm excited. How are you tonight?
I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this episode for about 6 months, which is probably when we started doing the Season 2 review.
Just a little bit. You look snazzy. I'm glad to see you dressed up for the occasion.
Thank you. Yeah, I pulled out the old tux as I do for these events. It was, of course, in need of a bit of repair and pressing. For some reason, it shrunk in the closet. I don't know why.
Oh, no. Well,
I think it's an X-File worthy of exploration.
Well, that's why I stick to tux t-shirts. It's a little bit
yours is
more relaxed.
And I don't know if that's a ketchup stain or blood, but anyway, it actually kind of makes.
I prefer not to answer.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just going to say, you've locked in your choices, yeah? Because the last time we did this, we had some reversals. We had some.
We did. It was a mess last time. Everyone left and right. You know what? After someone answers, I'm just going to change my answer. So yes, my answers are 100% locked in. As hope yours are.
We both submitted them to Deloitte & Touche to their official contest and award show gala verification program.
They are in envelopes.
The guy with the briefcase came by your place too, right? Like he's a pretty imposing fellow.
He didn't say much. He just kind of opened it and shoved it in my face. I had to put the votes in there, and he just kind of closed it and walked away.
It's surprising, though, that he needed 14 copies. I thought that was a bit much.
Yeah, I don't know what the other 13 are for, but we'll find out.
It was a lot of paper pushing, that is for sure. But anyway, enough banter from us. Are you ready to start with the top 3 worst episodes?
Yes, this is going to be a good time. So let's get going. Why don't you, sir, lead us off with your 3rd worst episode of the season?
Yes, and for absolute clarity, this is the episode that I disliked 3rd least, if that makes grammatical sense. I didn't hate it the most. I hated it 3rd most.
3rd most, correct.
All right. So,
we like to make things very simple.
Well, exactly. And you've got the appropriate sound effects on standby to increase the drama, yeah?
I have my farts.
Excellent. So, in 3rd place for top worst episode, according to Andrew, is Excelsius Day.
Ooh. All right.
According to me, when we did this, I didn't like it so much because the episodes were mostly tourists, which is a real bugbear for me. I hate it when they don't do anything. They just walk around and see things and react. Yeah. And then, stuff happens around them. And especially with Scully saving the day with the shot of atropine coming out of nowhere. I mean, this episode just is a turd about making sense.
You mean the shot of exorcism?
The exorcism
an entire building worth of elderly people.
Yeah, it was quite the Deus Ex Machina. So Excelsius Dei Ex Machina, maybe?
Yeah. God, that episode sucked.
Yeah,
And you know what? Wow. I'm not going to go into it, but we'll get to it. But yeah, I concur. That is a stinky episode. And not to mention, Mulder didn't even act like Mulder at all, in my opinion.
No, it was strange, right? Because he usually jumps to the defense of the woman in peril, but in this one, he was a bit of a douchebag. So
he was an asshole. It was just like, she's claiming rape. Whatever. See ya.
Whatever,
not spooky enough for me.
Yeah.
Come on.
So,
Mulder.
yeah, I think it was just randomness that this episode got through the production cycle. And the final nail in the coffin for this episode is the interior door holding in a room full of water. That just did not work for me. So in the calculation of all the badness of this episode, surprisingly, it ranked third worst. So that should lead you into some thinking about what I think are worser episodes.
Yes. That's actually, for as bad as we tore that episode, I'm interested to see what your top two worst episodes are.
Well, to that point, I'm interested to know what your third least liked episode is.
Well,
for season 2.
It took some flip-flopping. I was talking to myself. I'm like, okay, which episode do I hate of these three the least? And it came down to, I think, literally three, the episode 3.
Oh, I guess that's topical being it's the third worst episode.
It is. It just missed the mark on so many levels, and not least of which is that I don't think it really understands the story it was trying to tell, and we get rules for the episode, but I don't feel like they're adhered to with the vampires, and it really struck me as just thrown together. Mulder was not his normal quippy self, which I can excuse a little bit because Scully's in danger or whatever. So he's not going to be completely himself, but he was just acting in a way that was very off-putting to me. So the story, trying to modernize the vampire for a 90s audience, just really fell flat for me. At the end of the day, we don't know if they're actually vampires or not. The one guy did reappear, but it's still very loose. We don't know the end game of all of this. It's just very messy. So I didn't care for this episode for multiple reasons. And one of those is, by default, Scully's not there, so it's automatically worse. But I want to stress that they do these one-off episodes where one person is leading the show and the other one takes a step back. And that's okay, but this one did not pull it off well. No.
And including David Duchovny's girlfriend in the show, it felt a little bit off to me anyway. I mean, it seemed to be the only way we were going to get a hot and steamy love scene with Fox Mulder. But I frankly didn't throw this in the trash because I got a soft spot for vampire stories.
And that's
there
fair.
There are a few moments in the show that I was okay with. There are some killer lines, like you're disturbing me on a variety of levels. Like that coroner character is just like, it's one of those things where the episode's a turd, but then they throw in some wit.
There are very small nuggets.
Yeah, I will give you that. And I can't hate you, except for the horrible death scene of our main villain, the actual Romanian vampire, whatever.
Right.
She's a kick-ass character. I thought she was great. And then they, the very next scene, she gets pegged to death. So
literally.
Yeah. I mean, I want to like this episode more than it deserves. I think because I'm a fan of underdogs, right? But it is a turd. So.
And that's totally fine. But that's one of those things where I feel like the rules aren't adhered to. So Fox Mulder can get the drop on vampires very easily. But for some reason, that female vampire at the end is so strong. She pulls him up through the sunroof, I think it was, of the car. And it's like, okay, where did this come from? Because if she can do it, why can't the other 3 or 4 vampires we've seen do it? So,
well, exactly.
How is Mulder getting the drop on these guys every time?
Well, yeah, he kicks the living crack out of Frank, whatever. He's just easily dismissive of that character.
Yeah.
But it's the death at the end where, you know, our protagonist chick is doing the 3 rules, which is able to kill them, you know, and she summons it out of nowhere, you know, well, I'm going to kill myself and I'm a believer. So therefore it checks all the boxes, and then he freaks out and it's like, okay, sure. Yeah. So adhering to its own rules, another bugbear for me. And I agree with you completely there. I accept your choice and agree with it.
Awesome.
Even if it was my 3rd worst choice.
Hey. That's what this is all about. Opinions, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
So let's move on. Right?
Yes, we have locked those choices away for eternity. Let's move to the 2nd worst disliked episode. 2nd worstest?
Yeah. 2nd of the worstest episodes.
The mid-range worst. And are you ready for my choice? Are you ready to be rocked?
Yes, and real quick, if we're going to keep doing what we're doing with the worst thing, this would be worster, and then the last one will be worstest, right?
Worstest,
yes.
You're right. Okay, so we're ready to reveal the worster episode.
The worster?
The 3. Yeah, okay, so my choice for worster episode is the Kalushari.
I knew it was going to be somewhere on your list. Not specifically number 2, but I knew it was going to be somewhere.
Yeah. Well, then you're really wondering about number 1, aren't you?
I have a feeling you did not go obvious. So
yeah, okay. Well, what I said about the Kalushari at the time is that, you know, surprisingly, it's not bad, but it sure ain't great. And in a lot of ways, it's a real mess. And the scenes that were added for shock value don't do a whole lot to advance the plot. Like the whole killing of little Timmy or whatever is just, it's not necessary. And it you know, it caused trouble for them in the production, and it didn't need to happen. You know, you could have had the same kind of episode without the death of that little cute tyke. And yeah, acting's kind of trashy. The Kalushari come in and they don't make any sense. You know, villains turn into allies. And again, the agents are kind of tourists. And then the use of slow-mo just makes it all a hot, stinky mess. So worster episode for me, the Kalushari. Do you have anything to add onto that steaming trash pile?
I agree with you. It is not a good episode. And if I recall correctly, I think my biggest gripe with that was, why do you hate the dad? Tell me why he's a bad man. And they never approach that subject. Why is why is he devil child or devil man, and you'll have devil spawn or whatever if you marry this dude? It's like, what is so wrong about this guy?
Yeah.
They could have fleshed that out in a way that made the rest of the story at least a little bit better. And I think that's one huge misstep for that.
Well, and his death scene is atrocious. I mean, that is just like...
The necktie carousel?
Yeah.
What it should have
Little help. Yeah,
little help.
That was a train wreck. I mean, it's only marginally worse than the bus running death with the scarf caught in the door from Born Again or whatever that episode was. Young at Heart, maybe? I forget. The bad ones all fade into a shadow. But even then, it's just so bad. So
I can remember. I think it's Born Again. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my
choice.
pick for Worcester. Mike, what is your pick for second Worcester?
As I did season 1 and season 5, as I did for that, I wanted to throw equal attention at Monster of the Week and Mythology. I wanted to do my best to kind of be fair about it. And I went with including a Mythology episode here. So for me, the second Worcester episode.
And you generally like Mythology, so I'm surprised.
Red Museum, sir.
What's wrong with that Mythology?
It is. It absolutely is. Because they make it Mythology.
Yeah.
And that's one of my
yeah,
biggest problems with it.
Yeah.
What a fucked up episode this was. And I think the biggest misfire was the pilot light in the first place. Chris Carter talking to the creator of Picket Fences and going, hey, let's make an episode together. What the hell are you thinking? And this is not judging Picket Fences, but they are just so different. Sure, Picket Fences can be a cop show in a way, but it's really not.
Yeah. Small town cop show.
Yeah. It's just not a well thought out plan. And if I was a Fox exec and Chris Carter came to me with that, I would have been like, pick a different show. Because we're not doing that. If you want to
let's pick it.
Meld shows. Pick it a different show because I am picketing your idea.
Okay, well, a brief side conversation then. What would be a better X-Files crossover in 1995?
Well, I came to hear, and this could be bullshit, but I read somewhere that Vince Gilligan, when he had more say in the show, as the seasons went on, he actually pitched, and I would pay money to see this, but he pitched an X-Files Unsolved Mysteries episode where Robert Stack would be narrating this whole episode, and they would show these flashback reenactments or whatever. I would pay good money to see that episode get made. But
that would have been good, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, they certainly did delve into those kind of scenarios later on with, ex-cops or whatever. They took license with other TV formats. So, and obviously not ready to do that in season 2, but in season 6, they were able to branch out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to know what another show of the era that would be appropriate for a crossover would have been. But
let's see, 1995. I mean, if they wanted to get really out there, they could have done
Xena Warrior Princess.
They could, yes, they could have done that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Home Improvement, that was a good one.
I think you have to go out from Voyager, though.
I was going to say Star Trek, but I was thinking more TNG.
Yeah.
TNG just ended the year before, so it would have had to be Voyager or Deep Space Nine. But
Sliders,
that would be very out there.
Sliders had debuted in 95.
That's true.
And that could have been a neat little
and that could have been, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of options. The point is there were plenty of options, Chris Carter. We're talking to you now. And you chose Picket Fences, where it just makes it really weird. And to that end, we get this extremely convoluted and unsatisfying story about meat eaters and vegisauruses, is just what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
By itself, if they had stuck to that, they could have made some sort of interesting episode, okay? But then they pile all this other crap on it. And not to rehash everything that we talked about on the episode itself, but the choice to make this a mythology episode about 3/4 of the way into it was a choice. And I say 3/4 because we see the guy, the man in black, wandering around killing people. We know he's involved, but that doesn't make it a mythology episode. And then they bring in purity control towards the end. And it's like, okay, now it's officially a mythology episode. And so top that off with a very unsatisfying end to that guy. The man who killed Deep Throat, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. We didn't get at least some closure in the sense that Scully could have confronted him or Mulder. Just some interaction that was not him getting killed by the sheriff, a no-name sheriff of a town, off screen. It was just garbage. You know, what a cool character, at least important in the fact that he offed one of our favorite characters of all time.
Well, it just raises more questions than it answers with that character, because he's just so committed. You know, he is running around killing people. He's not covering anything up. He's so blatantly offside with what he's doing that he's burning a trail through this poor town. And you suspect that he was then going to go on and kill all those kids somehow. I just think that there's no reason for it. So obviously he has to die.
Well, and he's got
the method of his death is so sloppy and And it's almost cheating from a story writing perspective. It's like, we got to wrap this up. So
absolutely. He didn't need to die because the way he died contradicts everything he was doing. He works for the syndicate, and he was doing cleanup to avoid press, to avoid attention. But at the end, he chooses to make a move to blow up the building with his little lighter gas can thing, which would have drawn so much attention to the syndicate.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow. It's like, what are you doing? This guy died for no reason.
Yeah.
He just negated in that act everything he was trying to do, which was keep the heat off the syndicate. So it's like, what? I don't know.
The reasons that you don't throw things so far down the trash pile, me choosing Calusari over Red Museum, because it was definitely low. Like, I ranked them, and it was down there. I got a soft spot in my heart for Mark Ralston, after his performance in Aliens. It's hard to say that he can do no.
And I don't blame you for that. I love Mark.
But it's a trash fire of an episode. And, I decided not to do runners up or honorable mentions in the worst of category. Otherwise, I would have definitely included Red Museum here. It's bad for sure. Yeah.
Well, we have lingered on this one a little bit longer, so you go ahead and hit us, Andrew. Drum roll, your worstest episode of the season.
Here we are, revealing the top pick for worstest episode of season 2. And in my opinion, that episode is Little Green Men.
Whoa! Oh, no. I knew you weren't going to go obvious, but I did not see that coming. I understand it. I did not see that coming.
All right. Well, I mean, part of it is recalling how we felt when we were recording these episodes, and I remember just getting angrier. I had written my notes up on that episode, and it was not positive. I did not enjoy that episode. And then as it went on, I just remember getting angrier as we were discussing it. And I'm just realizing this was such a terrible choice to open season 2 with. I mean, lackluster. They try for some thrills and chills with their action scenes and guns going off, but none of it made sense. It's like, it just didn't make sense. And as you love, they introduced brand new space aliens that never get a repeat performance.
Gotta love it.
They too seem to have trouble landing, it would seem. Jorge's mysterious appearance in the bathroom for no explanation. Casual racism. And, I mean, frankly, the reason you have protagonists is to explain what's going on. You are along for the ride with them, and you're going to explain the episode, we're going to find the truth. And the X-Files format so often is they get a lot of information, they make a lot of connections, you think it's going to be this way, and then the proof is pulled out from underneath them at the last minute. It's burned up in the hotel room, or it turns out the recordings are empty, and they do it here, and we've seen it enough times that it's like, oh, okay, this is the trope we're going to fall back on here. And it just feels like, why did I bother? Why did we bother going through this? And then his little gag at the end of saying, I've got the face to keep going. No, you don't. I don't believe that.
Oh, man.
So, I'm getting angry again, just thinking about it. So, yeah, number one worstest episode for me is Little Green Men. I think we both agreed at the time the better choice to open the show for season 2 would have been the host.
Yes.
They could have just gone for 24 episodes. They could have just avoided Little Green Men completely.
That's true. I do agree. This is a low point for a season opener. It's just stale. Like, it's very blah. And for me, I think the biggest misstep here is a little bit of what we talked about on the episode, where we were chomping at the bit to find out the next X-Files episode after Deep Throat was killed. And they come at us with this. And I'm okay with the idea of the character study episode on Mulder, but it doesn't dive completely into that. It's all this stuff is happening around his moodiness and his loss of interest in life or whatever. And the stuff that's happening does not make sense. in accordance with the mythology that will come to be. And it's a shame because it's such a slow episode and a downer episode that it's, yeah, like you were saying, it's just some of the stuff is just inexplicably happening. And we don't know, again, Jorge. And, and not to mention, I think one of the funniest things that I thought about it was Mulder. Okay, so they get the transmission. Mulder gets it from the senator within a day or two. Makes it down there by himself.
Yeah.
He makes it down there by himself, spends the night with Jorge. Scully tracks him down, manages to make it down there herself, find Mulder, and escape before the military arrives. It's like, whoa.
Exactly.
Talk about response time.
That whole adage of the military getting more stuff done before 9 a.m. than the rest of us do all day apparently does not apply to the Blu-ray UFO retrieval team.
Yeah. It was a rough episode and a disappointing episode. That's the word I'll use to describe it, because it was not what we wanted. And
yeah,
again, I'm down for a character study, but this just wasn't the time to do it. And if you're going to do that, kind of axe all the paranormal stuff, or at least really dive a little bit more into it. Mind study.
Remembering what we were saying about it, I think I was even saying that it's either a brilliant episode or terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remove the grander story and make it just the character study, then it actually kind of works. Like if you didn't know anything else about the X-Files, it kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mulder's slowly going off the reservation and his dictation into a tape machine, there's some good stuff there, and it's probably the only redeeming quality of the episode. But everything that is necessary to get to that point is trash, and it just didn't work for me at all. So
agreed, sir. Agreed.
With that out of the way, clearly you have a different choice for worstest episode of season 2.
I do. And I was mulling around. I was like, do I want to be obvious or do I not? I went the obvious route because I can't forgive it enough to not do this. So for me, my worstest episode of season 2, I'm going to address the gorilla in the room and say, Fearful Symmetry is the worst episode of the season. And we don't really need to harp on it. Right. And I'm sure plenty of people did. You know, it's probably the same answer that a lot of people had. But we don't really need to harp on it now. We did that enough during the actual episode. So I'll just list things that really chap my ass about this and we can move on.
Absolutely. Yeah. 1,
animal cruelty. Hate it. Can't stand that stuff. So that brings it down a few points automatically. A really, really lame story that I feel misrepresents the source poem by giving it that title, Fearful Symmetry. I just don't think they understood what they were going for.
Really makes sense, yeah.
Overcomplicated plot that does not make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the introduction, just as you had, of yet another alien race, apparently not working with the aliens of the mythology.
Yep.
So I think it's funny. We both, for our worstest episodes, have episodes that introduce other aliens with other motives.
Yes, that just like to tootle around planet Earth doing their thing and then go home and never be seen again.
Planet Earth is the pit stop planet. Everyone's got to visit. And then a gorilla using sign language, believable, but her being this moral compass of the whole narrative was just really dumb. And finally, man saved man.
Yes.
That alone just sinks this episode. So
yeah,
I don't have much more to say. It's just not a good episode.
And even the use of 2 of the lone gunmen beamed in by video conference is not enough to drag this episode up.
No.
Yeah, it was ham-handed to begin with. And, fair, I will say, the introduction of Luis Cardinal.
Esteban.
In another character's form, gives it another plus 0.5 points out of 100.
I will give him credit. I was happy to see him and I am excited to see him return.
I really enjoyed our narrative around his character.
Esteban is quite a guy.
Review. Yeah,
He's a cleaner.
And frankly, I will crap all over Fearful Symmetry for all the same reasons you did. I will say, though, that the production involved in making that episode happen is pretty impressive. Like the use of the elephant, some of the scenes they created to make an invisible elephant happen. I mean, you got to respect.
Good stuff. Practical effects.
Yeah, even though the episode is terrible, like that's a script problem is what it is. And they could have done better, I think. But they would seem to be locked into this message, that I don't think even they really knew what they wanted to say, but they wanted to leave us with a little head scratcher of, I guess really we should be nicer. But yeah, it was garbage.
Agreed, sir.
There we go. We have covered the worst episodes of season 2. We'll take a moment, just refresh.
Everyone take a sip of water, kind of regroup, take a breath, maybe yell at your listening device with whether you agree with us or not. We're listening, so let us know if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, they had an opportunity, the listeners, to chime in with what they thought were the worst episodes. They had to make a comment. Didn't get a lot of comments, so I think we're not going to dwell on that, but we will for this next segment, where we discuss the best episodes of season 2.
Yeah.
Incorporate the listeners' votes, where we have tabulated all the votes from the poll that has been up on the Facebook page for the last 4 weeks. And some interesting results there. I don't think
so.
I saw it coming. Top choice would be.
Well, I'm excited. I only glanced at it, but I do not know what the final answers are or tallies. So I'm excited to hear what you have tabulated, sir.
All right. Well, we'll start with the third best episode. So not the best, not the bestest, but
it's the best, then the bester, then bestest.
Yeah, that's right. So for these, it was hard. I don't know about you. I had a real hard time.
Very hard.
And I also tried to sort of line them up along Monster of the Week and Mythology and other, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the format. So I have a runner-up and the choice for each one because we make the rules. And
yeah, we do whatever the fuck we want.
That's right. That's what I'm going to stick with. So the runner-up I have for the third best episode is Blood.
Nice.
A very slick episode. Only one sticking point, though, where the message is real or they are imagined. But if you, make up your mind about that and just let the episode play out, it's really, really slick. Like, we didn't have a whole lot to comment on other than how amazing this episode was. So, I think we found that when the episodes are kind of short, from our point of view, they're just awesome.
And that's a great choice. So you go ahead. I'll let you finish. But yeah, that's a fantastic choice.
Not much more to say because, again, we didn't have a lot to say other than
that's true.
Love the shit out of it. But yeah, the episode is so good. William Sanderson, he made that episode so amazing and started a trend of making villains that weren't villains. They were kind of hapless accidents.
Things were happening around them or because of them, but they were not governing it. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah. And it's really, really amazing. And it just hits that sense of suspense and paranoia so well. So many scenes just nailed it in terms of getting you on edge and going, what is going to happen here? It's just truly, really great episode.
His ability to, and we touched on this a little bit, was to react to nothing. Yeah. And he has all these scenes by himself, and you believe his psychosis is actually growing. Like, this man is devolving in his sanity before our eyes, and he did such a fantastic job at that. Excellent choice in guest actors.
He probably has a dozen lines. All of his performance is just his presentation, his reaction to things. He doesn't have a lot of actual lines, so it's brilliant stuff. So
Great
that
stuff.
was my runner-up. My choice for third best episode is bet you'd be surprised that I picked it as third. It's Humbug.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, which suggests I like others better. But I mean, it's hard to place.
From this being your choice, I think I can line up your top episode, but we will see. We'll see.
You know what my top episode is, I'm sure. Of course, Humbug is an amazing episode. It's only possible because they've done 40 episodes so far, and now they can kind of deviate from the serious tone they've worked hard for. But it's Kim Manners, he's new in the chair, and he just knocks it out of the park with his shot setups, his work with the creepy and amazing characters that are there. So many great little side jokes and little scenes, and the point he has to make about sort of the progress of human genetics. There's just so much good stuff in there. I mean, it's so much so that, again, it's another episode we reviewed and we're like, I don't think we have anything more to say about this amazing piece of art.
It is one of those episodes that is so enjoyable every time you watch it. It never gets old for me because it is so well written and so well executed.
Exactly. So, again, like the episode review we did, I don't have anything more to say about it other than how great it was.
Yeah. Great choice. Excellent.
Well, that's my third best choice. Mike, what is your third best choice for season 2?
I'm going to go mythology, sir. Ooh. And I am going to say Colony is my third best episode of the season.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
To me, easily the best mythology episode of the season. Whoa. I'm just kind of like Fearful Symmetry. I'm going to list off the things it introduces to the mythology. We get alien bounty hunter, shape-shifting, space stiletto, Mulder's dad, and Samantha's clone, right?
True.
All these huge things surrounding the orbit, or orbiting Mulder, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of a two-parter that is a force to be reckoned with. What starts out as a very suspicious case evolves into the unearthing of more of the global conspiracy with cloning. Mark Snow's music is on point with that really rhythmic and intense thumping and that deep howling horn throughout the episode. It just really gives it a sense of danger that I really love. To top it off, the cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. When Mulder he greets Scully at her motel room door, and then suddenly she gets a call from the real Mulder on the phone. It's like, oh man. Fade out, credits. It was like, oh, that's so good.
I think Colony is the better of the two-parter. I think Endgame is okay, but it doesn't deliver on all the things that are set up in Colony. I think that there's a little bit of unsatisfying resolution, a lot of things that don't resolve well, especially when we have Samantha showing up later on. And it's like, don't you remember all of the stuff that happened back in Colony and Endgame? I mean, this could just be them jerking you around again. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with all of your points. There's so much good stuff that's introduced here. It turns into another different show, basically. It's just so interesting. And the cliffhanger ending, one of the best in the entire series. Absolutely.
Agreed.
And you don't have runners up, do you? You're just committed.
I've got. We can talk about them, but I do have runners up in the sense that there are episodes that I was fighting with. But at the end of this, I think what I'll do is just give an explanation for my answers because I think some people might be disappointed.
Well,
or surprised, I should say.
We'll never get everybody's favorite, right? So what are you going to do? So with that out of the way, the third bestest, shall we move on to the second bester?
Yeah.
I think we're ready in this point. So again, I have a runner-up and I have a selection. And here's where I go into mythology. Because I didn't choose mythology for my top picks. At least I don't think I did. I guess we'll see when I get there. But my runner-up for second best episode is Anasazi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think that was going to be on your list.
You didn't think it was going to get there, right? Well,
I didn't.
You
think
were
so.
wrong.
I was
Well,
wrong.
I sort of had the virtue of having, 6 choices as opposed to 3, given how I decided to do it. But
Mhm.
again, loved this episode, but like the movie, it's kind of a roller coaster. So you don't question a few of the plot holes, like the fast travel from Washington to Martha's Vineyard.
See, that right there, I thought was going to disqualify it.
Well, exactly. But if you, in the moment, I'm trying to look at the episode as it would have been viewed in 1995 on TV. It just happened, and I'm guessing at the time there was no. Well, wait a second. Martha's Vineyard is 9 hours away. How did he? Has there been a passage of time? I mean,
you see a bunch of suburban families sitting down with road maps on their laps. All right. There's no way he made it from here to here. Well, maybe he's possible. He's got the ruler out, got the marker.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can make it.
Martha in the vineyard and see if it's possible to get a bus at this time of hour. Yeah, it was definitely a plot hole. But if you bypass that, there's a lot of good stuff in that episode.
Absolutely.
Cigarette Smoking Man is in. Lone Gunman is in. The amazing misdirection that the plot contains with him being drugged and that being resolved like 3/4 of the way through. It's like you finally get the answer of what happened. You're like, oh my God, that's some dark stuff right there.
Oh, yeah.
So very intelligent. I like a lot of it. Maybe didn't love the cliffhanger ending. That raised a lot of questions, like suddenly we're going to kill Mulder, but I understand what they were going for with needing to have a big emotional peak to round out season 2. So I can forgive a lot. And I'm sure at the time I was like, oh my God, is he going to live through this? What happens? I can't believe I have to wait X months before I get to see X-Files.
3 whole months.
So that's my runner-up. You don't have to delve into the runners-up unless you want to. Did you have anything you wanted to
No,
add?
I will say it is a great episode. It's very fun. I enjoy the increase in emotion in CSM that is only going to continue to increase by the time season 3 premieres. So that's all I'll say. Great pick, and I'm just surprised it made it on your list. So yeah, let's keep moving.
Well, my actual true second best choice for season 2 is Dwayne Barry.
Nice.
Yeah, see, solid mythology episode, probably the beginning of some true mythology stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's another character piece, right? Like the actor Steve Railsback playing Dwayne Barry, just what a tour de force, just so amazing. Another standout performer is CCH Pounder, just amazing as Kasdan.
Yeah.
And it just shows when you put great actors together in an episode, you usually get great results as long as the script is good. And being that this one's penned by Chris Carter, and it's being his first turn in the director's chair. There's a lot of firsts that pay off really well in this episode.
Yeah.
So my choice for second best, Dwayne Barry.
Dwayne Barry. That's an excellent choice. And you cannot, I'm happy that made the list, because that is such a phenomenal episode. And like you say, like we said in the episode, it is the beginning of the official mythology. I know we said that for Erlenmeyer Flask, and I think that's true. That was the very first mythology episode per se, but obviously with Gillian Anderson getting pregnant and going to have her baby, they really had to make some choices and stick with them. And I think this really allowed them to do that, because they were dragging their feet on really deciding where the mythology was going to go, even after Erlenmeyer Flask. So yeah, this was fantastic. Expertly crafted episode.
Yeah.
Chris Carter knocked it out of the fucking park. They got excellent guest actors. And as I always say, whenever law enforcement works with Mulder and Scully, I like it better because they become this unit. And CCH Pounder, she was a little antagonistic at the beginning, but she was a down-to-earth person. And she was open to ideas as long as everyone was safe and things were getting accomplished. And then by the end of the episode, she's almost flipped. She for some reason feels the need to poke Mulder and be like, oh, by the way, everything you were talking about and that Dwayne Barry was talking about was found in his body. So just saying. It was just a fun little, just walk away.
Yeah.
Exit stage left.
A giant shrug and Well, what do you think of that?
But yeah, I just like the way she delivers it, and really adds to the episode in such a powerful way.
Absolutely. So that's locked in for second place for me. Mike, what is your choice for second bester episode?
Well, I will say, sir, that I cannot resist this episode because it is so irresistible to me. Yes, that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking, of course, of Firewalker. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. A great episode, really. Yeah.
Great episode. No, irresistible. How do I want to say this? You cannot not mention this episode when you talk best episodes of the season, but more importantly, you cannot not mention this episode when you talk about best episodes of the show. And I'm not going to leave this episode out. So you just can't. I think that really speaks for itself. Donnie Pfaster, ladies and gentlemen, was unleashed on an unsuspecting populace, and I am talking both in the show and in real life. We were not, as viewers, prepared for this character, even in a show like this. And Nick Chinland delivers a frightening man who does unspeakable things to women and their corpses. So he can have his sexual gratification. Whatever he's doing is terrible. The episode was awesome for me just on the acting and the direction, but it really was a turning point for the show. Being able to tackle real world horror while still maintaining the paranormal undertones, because it isn't really a paranormal episode, right? It was also a turning point for Carter, who is inspired by his own story to branch off from the X-Files and develop Millennium, which, as we all know, is a little bit more grounded, yet very paranormal still in a different way show. So, but yeah, Scully in this episode goes on quite the roller coaster of emotion here, and we get to see her at her lowest point and her most vulnerable. We've never seen her like this before. Even when she's taken by Dwayne Barry, I think there's still a power behind her, but here she is very humanized. She's been through a lot this past year, and this is kind of culminating here, and we get a lot more emotion out of her than we've ever seen. And I just love the fact that she's human, and we get to see her vulnerable and kind of overcome things over time. They actually tied in the mythology just a little bit with her therapist visit. Yeah. So we know it's eating away at her. You know, she didn't just bounce back like she did in the show. They went from one breath to Firewalker and everything was fine. Yeah. But here we can see it's been eating away at her. And I really liked that, even if it was just a little bit. Overall, Nicholas Chinland, kudos to him for playing this character with such skill that he comes off as unsuspecting and insanely creepy all at the same time.
Indeed. I think the when we were reviewing it, the thing that stuck with me was I couldn't get why Scully was suddenly so fragile. You know, she was very much playing it like something was bothering her about what she was seeing there, and it became very personal for her. And I feel like a dummy that I didn't immediately go, well, duh, she was abducted and now this is coming back for her. But I think that speaks to how they chose to release the episodes in this format that was not, you know, it was not episodic. It was both, it had an arc, but they deviated so often from that arc, you know, and they had these death-defying experiences that had no follow-up. They had no impact on them in the next episode. So to start off an episode and see her being vulnerable and go, why she's like that? That's not the Scully we know. And then choosing your moment to say, oh, it's because she was abducted. It's like, well, it hasn't bothered her before. In Firewalker, she was just fine. I suppose that's the only real issue I had for Irresistible. And I will tell you, it is my runner-up for first best. So I'm happy to delve into it a bit here. Okay. And in that... as you say, Donnie Pfaster, like what a character. I think this is the best use of him. His return in Origin, not as great. But it speaks to, obviously, the popularity of the character, that they decided to design a completely separate episode for him. Mm-hmm. They've only done that in 2 other cases. So, yeah, he definitely ranks very heavy in terms of the all-time best bad guys. Yeah. And for good reason. It's just a really, really creepy subject matter, and it's done very well. It's treated well. Like, they could have made it much more objectionable, but they knew what the line was.
Yeah. And you could even argue that had they kept the paranormal aspect of the show more intact in this episode, that it would have been worse. Yes. Because this was real in a way that was unlike anything the X-Files had really done. And it was still terrifying. Yeah. And that was amazing for the show, but also amazing for Chris Carter to be able to execute something that is down to earth and unfortunately a reality for some people, and just still maintain the integrity of the X-Files as a whole by telling a very down to earth story.
Well, and that final epilogue, essentially, where we have the slideshow of images of Donnie, basically the takeaway being that anybody can turn into a monster, just with the right nature versus nurture elements happening to them. And that's the true horror that they're trying to present.
Yeah. Oh, very creepy.
Second choice Andrew is locked in. It's time for the first, bestest, absolute treasure of season 2, according to Mike and Andrew. So you've got your choice locked in, I'm sure.
I do.
I have my choice locked in. Should we, at this moment, make a guess at the other's choice?
Yes, I think we can do that.
Okay. So, should we try and say it at the same time?
I'm gonna say what I think yours is, and you're gonna say what you think mine is. On 3 or exactly. 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
1. Yep.
1, 2,
2.
Oh, you ready? Okay.
Okay, you count, and I'll go on go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
One breath. Oh, excellent.
Except you're wrong about my choice.
You're wrong about my choice.
Oh, really?
Oh, that is too funny. All right, so a lot of people are going to be pissed off today.
BP and that.
BP is officially stopped listening. I apologize, sir. Please don't hate us. But I have my reasons, and I'll get into it. But you go ahead, sir.
As do I. Well, my choice for first bestest episode of season 2 is Handy Verlitz.
There it is.
Yeah.
You know what? I chose One Breath knowing Dihan Diverlist is your baby. But the way you were talking about it.
Yeah, you can't.
The way you were talking about it in the episode, I'm like, there's no way he's going to choose this now.
Right. That's fair. Well, it's again a case of like how you felt when you were watching it and the sins you're willing to forgive for various reasons. I mean, this episode has a lot going against it. Like, it reeks of style. On the plus side, I should say, it has so much style, has some truly funny bits, and it explores the idea of what a modern Satanist lifestyle would be, how the sacrifices made come back to haunt you. Like, there is just a lot of good stuff in there.
Absolutely.
But the negative side is that the agents don't actually do anything. And that is a thing that I really always come back to.
Yeah. Your kryptonite.
But it's my kryptonite for the X-Files. They barely managed to avoid getting killed in the process of investigating the strange events in Milford Haven. But it's this interesting decision on Morgan and Wong's part to give us the perspective of not one, but 2 sets of villains. And we see so much more of the action than we might not normally see. And it gives us these unparalleled insights into how the villains are going to do what they do and why. So for that, I give it more than just a pass. Like, it's really thoughtfully done.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the moment, like we were talking about, what would it be like to see this episode as just a quote unquote straight X-Files episode where it's just the perspective of the agents and we, maybe we get the perspective.
We uncover it with them.
Yeah, exactly. We maybe get the villains, the Satanists, we get their perspective eventually, but it would be a very different episode, and I don't think it would be nearly as effective. So
Yeah.
there's just so much there, and it being the going away episode for Morgan and Wong, there's a lot of special sauce in there for that. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. It always, as much as there's things I don't like, I always come back to this one as like a true instance of a classic X-Files Monster of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just done exceptionally well, even though the Coriolis effect doesn't work like he said it does.
The number one gripe, or actually, no, that's number two.
That's
number one is they're tourists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how often is that the case, right? Where we love it when they actually do stuff, and they don't do as much stuff here. So, did you have any thoughts on DeHaan, or did you just want to move on?
Well, I just want to say it is a great episode, and I do concur that you have to look past some of the things that you might find objectionable in passing. We joke about the Coriolis thing. Yeah. We joke about being tourists, but to be fair, I think that's what the X-Files is outside of the mythology, right? The idea, I think, of the show is that it's to show the audience these things exist. In this world, all this stuff is happening. So, and we all know I'm the apologist, right? So I'm willing to look past the tourism aspect because that's what it's about in my head. Is showing the world these things that, all the conspiracy theories and all the ghost stories and the demonic stories we've heard throughout our lifetimes. Oh, well, it's all true in this universe. So with the agents not doing a whole lot in a lot of episodes, you just kind of roll with it for me. But excellent episode. The only other thing I will say, Heather McComb deserves another shout out for that monologue she delivers. Holy shit.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
For such a young actress to do that and get that emotion out. Wow. That was fantastic.
That was 2.5 minutes of heavy hitting right there, and there's no way you can walk away from that and go, "Oh, what a," it hits you very hard.
Absolutely. I want to know if that monologue was written after she was cast or before, because I feel like they made dialogue up for that character once they realized what she could do. Maybe she, in some of her other scenes, she was just hitting it out of the park, and they're like, we need a little bit more of Heather McComb. But
the episode's running a little short. Can we just pad it out a little bit?
With 2.5 minutes of Heather McComb.
Yeah, it's the Heather McComb show now. On the point of tourism, I will just say this. I mean, yes, I do gripe on it a fair bit, but I should give it a bit more leeway because in real life, law enforcement is not always about being preventative. It is not about...
It's response.
It's largely response and picking up the pieces, which is a sadness, There are probably many fewer cases where law enforcement is able to intervene before a tragedy happens or to actually find the answers.
Right.
They often are just there making a report and making sure that there is some level of justice for the victims.
That's all they can do.
It's largely all they can do. In some cases, though, I think it's a bit egregious in X-Files episode
sure.
We have seen their capabilities, and they sometimes waffle it because the script forces them to not get what they should be getting.
What episode were we just talking about where Scully makes some very questionable choices and lets something happen that shouldn't have happened? What the fuck episode was that? It's at the end of the season.
That was Soft Light.
Soft Light.
She at the end, she's like, this... She didn't have to die.
Yeah.
This didn't have to happen. It's like,
you could have stepped the fuck in as the government.
It's right. How many times has the FBI, slapped its salami dick on the table and said, we'll be taking over now. Thank you very much. They don't do it here? I mean, come on.
Yeah. This guy is a time bomb. Jeez.
Well, that is my choice for a top episode of season 2. I'm very excited to know what yours is. So Clyde Bruckman is not in season 3.
He is not
in season 2. It's in season 3. So that can't be your choice here.
It isn't.
Mike, what is your choice for first bestest episode of season 2?
Bestest episode for me for season 2. Never gets old. Another episode that I absolutely adore. and we've already talked about it just a little bit. Humbug. This was an easy choice for me. And again, I will get to my runners-up and explain my choices later, but it's really not hard for me when you're talking Darren Morgan. He makes it so easy on us, or at least me. The man knows how to write an episode, and furthermore, he knows how to test boundaries. Without a doubt, Humbug changed the game for the entire show moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
No longer were they simply beholden to dark intrigue and horror or science fiction. They could now routinely spread their wings and try on comedy every now and again. Some may complain that the roots of the show are tarnished by this, and I say no, they are not. I actually have a friend who stopped watching the show in season 6 because he was very put off by the lighthearted comedy episodes, and he thought it took away from the X-Files and what they were supposed to be. And that's a fair point. You know, it is very different than if you were to show someone the pilot and then show someone Humbug, or even something else down season 6's route. To me, it's no excuse for disregarding the entire product, right? If you love it or not, like it or not, this is a masterclass episode with all the intrigue of traditional X-Files, but with very fun twists that keeps the viewer interested and invested in the plot and all the characters, mind you.
Oh, every single one, yeah.
It is always fun to also see the suits be the outsiders in this episode that is dedicated traditionally to the perceived outsiders of our society. So it made their normal the normal of the episode, and it was incredibly witty. It paid homage to that excellent film Freaks, a little bit more tastefully, I would say, than that movie. But I would
say,
yeah, they portrayed these characters in a way that it gave them reason to be and to act the way they were portrayed. And it gave them a lot of dignity, which is something that perhaps we as people don't do. You know, visually, we are thrown off by different, right? So I think this gave a lot of agency to people. It was really cool. Very well done. Very respectful.
They obviously had a point to make, and they made it very effectively. You know, this has been a season of a few issue-oriented episodes. You know, vegetarianism versus meat-eating culture, animal cruelty. They've chosen a few hills to try and fight on, and more or less successful. But in Humbug, they chose one about, you know, the perceived normals versus people that don't fit into a normal, quote unquote, society. And it's just extremely effective in this case, using the circus as the microcosm for the issue they wanted to speak to. And I think it's worth this opportunity where we're kind of reopening the can a little bit to talk about Humbug. I was very hard on the episode for what I thought was maybe a plot hole with the agents requiring 48 murders to become involved. I rewatched the episode recently and missed a very important detail. These 48 murders occurred over 25 years.
Yeah.
So
I think we both missed that when we weren't paying attention.
I think that was the case. But, you know, you could make an argument that that's still a pretty impressive body count. But maybe it just is thrown away. It's a throwaway line, so we didn't catch it. That's going to be my defense to what has occurred here. But certainly that is a lot more believable that would fall under the radar. The idea of about less than 2 murders a year happening across the country. Certainly a lot easier to imagine that falling between the cracks of law enforcement. But yeah, everything you said, what a great episode. And often you look at episodes in terms of the things you remember about the episode. So many memorable moments, one-liners, interactions between characters, creepy segments. This is an episode that has everything. And all we can do is praise it, so much so that I think it's one of the shortest podcasts that we actually released.
Yeah.
You know, to tip the scales of like 48 minutes or something.
Yeah. And I just want to hit one more time how much you actually care about each character. And that's not common.
Yeah.
And each one of these side characters has a story to tell and a place in this episode that you enjoy seeing them at all times. So it is a tour de force episode where every scene is interesting.
Well portrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about it.
I should mention that Alex Dakin, whatever, the curator in Humbug and doctor in 3, mentioned twice in our picks. Well, I guess one was a worst pick, but no, and quality actors make for a quality show.
Wait a minute. He's not in 3?
Wasn't he the doctor in 3?
No, you're thinking of the guy from War of the Copperphages with the smoky voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as we know, the retread count is not my thing.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. And you didn't get to do it this episode.
I didn't get to do it, no. But on that note, what would you say your favorite guest actor was this season? Just off the cuff. I haven't thought of this, so I'm throwing myself under the bus too.
It's a good side thing here. Oh boy, that's tough.
This is a tough one. Well, I think it's safe to say he's in one of our picks, right? Or he or she.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Heather McComb.
Heather McComb is a top pick for sure, but the curator from Humbug, Alex Dakin, stands out to me. It's just that voice, the presentation, that scene. It's a movie of itself, right? Just that whole experience was so well done. So he stands out for me. So much so that I called him out just now. But William Sanderson is another top one.
Yeah.
As you say, Chicklin from Irresistible. Just these power.
It is very hard. It is a very hard question.
It's a hard one. What about you? What are your choices there?
The one that stands out to me the most right now would probably be Chinland. He's really gnawing for spot 1, but it would be between him and Sanderson, I think. Just their portrayals of those characters are perfect.
That segues very nicely into the results of our audience poll for what were the top 3 episodes of season 2. Are you ready for the results to be revealed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, running in at 3rd place with 13% of the vote is Dwayne Barry.
Number 3, coming in hot. Okay.
Yeah. I think, again, speaking of powerhouse actors, it's another case where he's just a powerhouse leading the show and a really effective script. Chris Carter directing the helm. So much to like there. I mean, I've already drawn it out as one of my faves. So
absolutely.
Clearly the audience agrees with me more than agreed with you.
Well, you'd be surprised. He does have a place. I haven't gotten yet to my runner-up category, but we will.
Oh, right. You didn't incorporate them. Okay, fair enough. Well, number 2, according to our listening audience, is with the voter share of 16%. Wait, do you want to take a guess with number 2?
Number 2?
You haven't looked at these.
I have not looked at these. I'm going to go Irresistible because I know our audience loves Donnie, and I don't think they would not pick One Breath for number 1. So I'm going to go Irresistible.
Unfortunately, would be wrong.
Oh,
it's
no.
Not Irresistible. No, it is, in fact, Humbug.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Good choices.
Actually, I'm looking at... The numbers have shifted slightly because we had a few more votes, but it still lines up accurately. Well, in fact, there may be now a tie for first place.
Uh-oh.
There may have been some last-minute additions, but technically it's over the red line.
You heard it here first, folks. 7:47 p.m. CST time, 8:47 Pacific time.
EST. Yeah.
Here it is.
Pacific time. What are you talking about?
Whatever.
Like,
this is America.
Not even 6 time. Well, I'm going to stick with the results with Humbug coming in at 2nd. Yeah, well, we've already praised the shit out of this episode, so I don't think we need to do it again. But boy, you know what's not in the top 3? Little Green Men. I don't think you're surprised.
I'm not surprised at that one. Wait, so what was number 1 then?
I will tell you what number 1.
Okay, I thought
you're ready.
I am ready. 1. I'm very excited to hear number 1.
Are you prepared? Well, with audience share of 17% as of pre-747.
It's a squeaker.
The number 1 pick by our listening audience is, as you surmised, Irresistible.
Boom. Awesome.
Yes. Which should lead you to understand that One Breath didn't even place.
Didn't even place.
It didn't even place.
That's not knocking the episode. It's just there's so much to love in this season.
There are other equally good, but statistically much better episodes, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, what I would like to hear some of your thinking about the choices you made, because I thought One Breath was a hands down solid favorite for you.
Absolutely. And it is. It is.
Way back when we were discussing who was going to host the various episodes.
Yeah.
I had to fight you down from killing somebody for One Breath.
From killing somebody.
You
talked me off a ledge, man.
To host. That's right. You were like, I'm not even going to be in this if I don't get to do One Breath.
I refuse to continue this show if I don't get to do One Breath. No, you know what? It came down to a mixture of what is truly great and what is the easy answer, right?
Yeah.
And I think One Breath is an easy answer. And I don't mean that to degrade the episode. It is a fantastic episode. I think we both love it. It is just I believe I did it last time where I wanted to be fair and not go the easy route. And I think I came out on top with Folie à Deux with season 5, my number 1 episode or something. And while that is a great episode, I think people can argue that there are other episodes that would be number 1 for season 5. But
agreed.
I just want to keep the show interesting, number 1, and also be true to how I feel. And if I'm being honest with myself and with you and the public, I don't come back to One Breath as much as I would do Humbug, right? It is definitely up there, and it is a great episode. And it gives Mulder some of the most heartbreaking scenes that we've ever seen with him when he comes back to his apartment after choosing to visit Scully in the hospital instead of killing the people who put her in this position. He comes back and his apartment's ransacked and he's lost his opportunity. His partner's about to die and the music fades out. He sinks onto the floor and just starts weeping. It's like, this scene is perfect and it's so beautiful. But, again, it comes down to just personal preference. Am I going to come down to One Breath at any point in my life? No, I can come back to Humbug at any point in my life and enjoy the episode fully. One Breath is more like, all right, I'm in a dramatic mood today. So,
well, and it's hard to watch it out of sequence too, right? You need to watch Dwayne Barry Ascension
exactly,
really to truly appreciate the arc. That's a 3-hour commitment.
Yeah, so I would say to justify some of my answers for my best of. One Breath is the contender for number 1, I think. And my other 2 runners up would be Dwayne Barry as the 3rd best, kind of with the audience. And then for my 2nd place would be Host.
Yeah.
Just an excellent Monster of the Week episode.
Yeah, it actually was on my 2nd runner-up. The 3rd best. But I decided, I didn't want to take 20 minutes to describe my choices. And then I couldn't find my notes for the Host. So I was like, well, that's an easy choice.
That's an easy choice.
But yeah, I think even when we were reviewing the Host, both agreed that it would have made such a better season opener.
Right.
If you had to open with a Monster of the Week, that is such an easy choice. Yeah. And everything about it is classic X-Files, and it works really, really well. Yeah, I totally would agree with you as using that as another choice for your 3rd best episode.
So yeah, those are my choices. Those are your choices. And I think the audience did a pretty good job with choosing their best. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah.
I was thinking Humbug would win. Or no, I take that back. I do think One Breath would have won. But they surprised me.
Well, like you said, I think it's about episodes that stand on their own. And I think One Breath works as the culmination of Dwayne Barry Ascension. So it's hard to look at it as its own thing. And to be fair, I don't think it's for everybody because there's a lot of kind of tropey dramatic visuals with Scully, her in the boat, just sort of waiting and her on the table. And, they had to make a lot of allowances in the filming of it because she was pregnant. So I could see why they went the way that. Oh no, she wasn't pregnant at that point. She had given birth, so she'd returned to filming, but they couldn't really use her. So it's not a Scully we're used to, and I could see that sort of maybe detracting a bit from the episode. But it's about the other characters that I think it justifies it as a really good show. It's funny going through the list. I'm curious. Oh, okay. I see what Facebook has done. I was like, there's actually votes for Excelsius Day. What the heck? But it turns out, no. Facebook has given everything a little bit of weight. So, okay, that makes a bit more sense. So, yes, I agree with you.
Andrew was about to be extremely disappointed in you.
Well, we did it, Mike. We can take off these tuxes.
Yeah.
We don't have to wear them for a whole another 6 months.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride so far, and I am so excited, Andrew, to get into season 3.
It's going to be such a good season. So many good episodes in season 3. Arguably more good ones than stinkers in 3 than in 2. I like 2, but there's been a few clunkers that we've just had to sort of get through.
Yeah. Season 3 is arguably where they find their footing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
The show officially begins now. Get serious, ladies and gentlemen.
If you've been watching up till now, you've been wasting your time.
You've been wasting your time. This is the true beginning. No, yeah, it does get fucking good. So,
well, Mike, thanks for this, and thanks for all the work you do putting these episodes together. You make me sound very good. You make yourself sound even better.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes, I do that on purpose. I definitely spend different amounts of time on our audio files. No, I appreciate that. It is a fun experience. I want to thank the listeners so far and hopefully into the future for their participation. This would not be half as fun as it is knowing people are listening. It makes all the editing that much more fun, even when it's a slog. So, yeah, Andrew, you do such a good job here. And we are about to dive in and get into the meat of this show. It's just going to be...
it's going to be meaty.
We got so much left.
All the way down. Thanks again, Mike. Thank you to our audience. It's been a pleasure reviewing our likes and dislikes. I'm sure you've got things to say, and I look forward to all your comments on the Syndicate Forum. Mike, would you like to say good night to our lovely listeners?
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you in season 3. Fine. Well, that's the show, everyone. I'm not your host. Those 2 pricks are the hosts. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did not. Actually, I did. You know what my favorite part was? You know what my favorite part of the show was? The lack of new ideas and creativity for the new awards show. I'm gonna go find a dentist now because this fascist broke my tooth. The microphone.
And I didn't think you could get any excitement with a the what do they call them, the funicular, the rail car going up the mountain, but somehow they managed to make it happen.
Not exactly a car chase, but they do make it suspenseful.
They do make it suspenseful.
Oh, and it's a suspense. Oh, it's a suspended car. That was a pun by accident.
Oh, amazing. But yeah, there's lots of mystery, action, and really the jumping off for the mythology arc that's going to define the rest of the show.
And you can't really turn a blind eye to that.
Yeah, exactly. The whole business of having the you know what, I'm just realizing the rail car isn't in Dwayne Barry.
It's an Ascension.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to cut that all out. My God.
Yeah, I got to cut all that out. Good call, because I wasn't paying attention enough to that not being in Dwayne Barry. I was like, I think of them as the same episode for some reason. It didn't even register.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yes, we are.
Karen Kosef, actor who you will tell me her name.
Oh, you want me to give... Oh, shit.
thought you said you had the whole list prepared.
I know who it
You
is.
sounded so prepared.
It's Christine
as you
Wills.
started.
Hold on. It's
Licking
Christine
your lips
Wills.
and going through your notepad. You're like,
She is
retread
the
so second retread is so and so.
she is the FBI therapist that
Yes.
Scully went to see
In
that
other
Irresistible.
episode. Yes, Irresistible. Having a hard time. Can't talk to my partner. But
Yes,
you don't know our actor's
exactly.
names. That's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't have it on hand. I clicked on the page and I got it right.
Like the one.
So we're good.
You have one job.
I'm sorry. I will edit it to make it sound right.
As long as you keep that part in.
Yeah, so we come back on the research vessel Alta in the Beaufort Sea in the Arctic Circle 2 weeks earlier. The crew on board ship
Did you
noticed
call it
something
the
high
Beaufort
above
Sea?
them. Did I? Is that wrong? I don't know.
It's
Beaufort?
the Beaufort Sea, yeah.
Okay.
It's
let me
a
start that again.
français chose là. So you
That's true.
yeah. But I like that you called it
Okay.
Beaufort.
Beaufort. I thought it was funny. I was like, that's an interesting name. Okay. We come back on the research vessel Alta and the Beaufort Sea in the Arctic Circle 2 weeks earlier. Now go on. Say your lines. We don't need any more problems. We're cool. We're cool. Just say your lines. There's no problems. Well, that's the show, everyone. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm your host. No, I'm not your host. I'm the announcer clown. Now I'm going to go find a dentist because of my cracked tooth. Now I'm just gonna go to the bank and try to withdraw some dollars so I can find the dentist. Hopefully this one's still open. Now, if you'll please excuse me, I'm going to go try and find the man who was behind the auditorium earlier with a soiled lab coat and a power drill. Now, I will be leaving here as it occurs to me that I'm probably going to be reduced to turning tricks in the back of Cadillac because I sure as shit don't get paid enough from these two sucking assholes. You know what? I'm actually glad he broke my tooth out. It's going to make it a whole lot easier to make that money so I can get some dental work done. I'll be the dick slinger, the cone gobbler, Indiana Bones. My mouth releasing so many angry cocks you'd think people would take him back. Oh my god, this is so stupid. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at TINHxFilesPod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.